Football is built on one promise, that what you're watching is real. The 22 players, one ball, and 90 minutes decides everything. But football has a hidden story, a history of games that were never meant to be fair. Not because a team played better, but because referees were influenced, results were fixed before kickoff, clubs manipulated the rules, players cheated with their own bodies, and entire leagues were corrupted from the inside. Today we're not just talking about diving, we're going through the biggest types of cheating in football, with real stories of how it happened and what are the consequences. Because when cheating is done properly, it doesn't look like cheating, it looks like football. So first we're gonna look at the cheat everyone has seen, diving. Let's start with the most common one, simulation. The reason diving is such a big problem isn't because the fans are soft. It's because the best divers don't fall randomly. They do it like professionals. Some teams hire coaches who teach players how to fall and how it works. A winger gets into the box, a defender puts an arm across him for half a second, the attacker waits until the moment his leg is planted, and then he goes down. Not because he was smashed, but because he knows the referee is watching the angles, not contact. Let me give you a real example. Rivaldo, one of the most famous diving moments ever happened at the 2002 World Cup, Brazil versus Turkey. The ball is kicked towards Rivaldo, near the corner flag. It hits him, clearly in his leg, and Rivaldo collapses, holding his face like he's been punched. The referee falls for it. Turkey's player gets sent off. Brazil win. And Rivaldo gets fined after the match, but the damage was already done. A World Cup game was influenced by acting. People laugh at it, but diving can win penalties, get defenders suspended, change an entire tournament path. And this is the first level of cheating, because after this, it gets much darker. You probably all know the hand of God. 1986, Mexico City, Argentina versus England, World Cup quarterfinal. The match had political tension behind it. Argentina and England were still in the shadow of the Falklands War. When the moment happens, Maradona jumps with England's goalkeeper, Peter Shilton. But instead of heading the ball, Maradona punches it. The ball goes in. The referee gives the goal. England's players swarm the referee. But there's no VAR, no technology, no replay. Maradona later said, "A little with the head of Maradona, and a little with the hand of God. This is how we scored the goal." Argentina win the match 2-1, and the craziest part, 4 minutes later, Maradona scores one of the greatest goals in history, dribbling through England's defenders like they don't exist. So that match became football's most perfect contradiction. A match decided by one of the most famous cheats ever, and one of the most famous moments of genius ever. But when football becomes a crime, match fixing. Now we enter the part where football stops being a sport and becomes a business. Match fixing. This isn't playing badly. This is a match being influenced deliberately, usually for money. The biggest match fixing weapon, betting markets. Modern betting is not just win, draw, lose. You can bet on first yellow card, number of corners, time of first goal, penalties, and red cards. So criminals don't need to fix the whole result. They only need to fix one moment. A perfect example, spot fixing. Spot fixing is when you fix a single event. For example, a defender purposely giving away a corner in the 12th minute. A goalkeeper purposely wasting time to get booked. Player makes a reckless tackle on purpose. It's subtle and it's hard to prove. The consequences are brutal. In many cases, players involved in fixing aren't just banned, they're arrested. Because at that level, it becomes an organized crime. And in some countries, match fixing has been connected to gambling syndicates that operates like mafias. Calciopoli, how Italian football was rigged.
A crisis which has rocked Italian football.
4 top Italian teams have been accused of...
If you want one scandal that feels like a Netflix series, it's Calciopoli. Italy in 2006. At the time, Serie A was arguably one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best. Juventus, Milan, Inter, Roma, and Lazio. Superstars were everywhere, but behind the scenes, something was happening. What was the cheating? It wasn't simply paying referees. The scandal involved club directors, referee designators, and phone calls that were recorded. The accusation was that certain clubs were influenced in which referees were appointed to their matches. Because if you choose the referee, you can choose the style of the match. Some referees were known to give more penalties, give more cards, allow more physical play, be influenced by the crowd pressure. So instead of bribing the referee directly, you rigged the environment. The consequences? Juventus were relegated to Serie B, stripped of their league titles, hit with points deductions. Other clubs were punished too, and it permanently damaged Italian football's reputation. It also created one of football's biggest debates. How many titles in football history were won fairly? The Marseille scandal. Now let's go to France. In 1993, Olympique Marseille were the best team in the country. They were also about to play the biggest match in their history, the Champions League final. But right before that final, they had a league match. And this is where the scandal begins. What happened? Marseille were accused of bribing players from Valenciennes. The alleged plan was simple. Don't play hard against us. Don't injure our players. Let us win easily. So Marseille could save energy and avoid injuries before the Champions League final. The bribery was exposed, and it became one of football's biggest scandals in French football history. Marseille were stripped of their league title, relegated, and banned from European competition. It's one of the clearest examples of club cheating not to win one match, but to protect their path to win in everything. And now and again you have FIFA corruption. Now we go beyond clubs, because one of the biggest cheating in football wasn't done on the pitch, it was done in suits. The FIFA corruption era. For years, FIFA was accused of being one of the most corrupt organizations in the sport. The accusations included bribes for TV rights, bribe for sponsorship deals, bribe for tournament hosting, bribes for votes. And the reason FIFA corruption hit so hard is because FIFA controls the World Cup, international football, and billions in revenue. When that kind of power is corrupt, the sports itself becomes a business transaction. When FIFA corruption exploded publicly, it led to resignations, arrests, lifetime bans, and a permanent stain on the sport's reputation. It also made fans question something terrifying. If corruption exits at the top, how far down it goes. And here's another example. Financial cheating. Winning with accounting. This is the type of cheating fans argue about every day, because it's not one moment. It's a whole system. What financial cheating looks like? It includes fake sponsorships, inflated deals, hidden payments, creative accounting, and breaking FFP rules. And the reason it matters is simple. If one club can spend far more than the others, they can build a squad that is unbeatable. Not because they scouted better, but because they had money power. Financial cheating usually leads to fines, points deduction, and transfer bans. Sometimes relegations. But you can see sometimes with Manchester City, for example, it can take years to be proven, and sometimes not proven at all. In some leagues, it can destroy smaller clubs completely. And what about doping? Football doesn't talk about doping as much as other sports, but doping has existed, and the reason is obvious. Football is exhausting. Players sprint for 90 minutes, then do it again after 3 days, then travel Europe, then play internationally. So performance enhancers aren't just about strength. They're about stamina, recovery, healing, and staying sharp. And the uncomfortable truth, doping in football is hard to catch, because a player can always say, it was medicine, it was contamination, it was a mistake. And sometimes they get away with it. But you do have stories like Paul Pogba, who was banned for like 2 years, and totally his prime years. And when he came back, he didn't look the same. Football cheating isn't one thing, it's layers. Diving, time wasting, acting, then it becomes match fixing, bribery, referee manipulation, and at the top it becomes corruption, financial cheating, selling the sports itself. And the worst part, every time a fan loses trust, football loses a piece of its soul, because football only works if we believe it's real.